Hey, everybody. So, we're asking that you share some of the resources that you ended up sharing in your small groups based on the prompt Bill gave you for the Saturday digital gatherings. And we had suggested to y'all that we were going to be looking back at Slack and kind of using it in the way that we originally wanted to, but repurposing it so that we could start to share some resources in the second half of this learning lab. So, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do that, but I wanted to explain to you that one of the reasons that we think has some added value is that um, it's meant to be a place to share resources. Instead of a sort of static Google Doc space, what it allows you to do is add a link to the resource, annotate it a little bit, and then allow for continued conversations if you've sparked some interest for somebody else. So if I share a resource and then somebody wants to ask a clarifying question, or for some reason they've got something else that they think that they can add to the thinking around that, they can go ahead and do so. And so a threaded discussion can be created. Um, Again, we want to have an annotated space for resources. We don't want to make it necessarily too complicated, but we would like it so that it's both organized and allows for continued networking, if you will. So let me go ahead and show you how we can do that in Slack here. I'm over in the left-hand corner in the purple menu bar, and you'll see that there are a number of different channels. My channels might look a little bit different to you because I either created them and I've invited you, but you haven't seen that invitation to give the thumbs up to join. Or, for instance, we've got this one here called Math Rocks. Some of you have joined that or have been invited to that because you teach math and you might be interested in doing that. But if you haven't been invited to that channel, you might not see that up into your menu. Anybody can create a channel at any point and invite members of the group here to be able to start sharing as well. So that helps us organize the resources that we're going to be sharing around topics of interest. If I come back to that general, you'll see that some people have posted some things in terms of sharing. What we're asking is that you take some of the resources that you shared in your small groups and add them here to Slack. So let me show you how to go ahead and do that. I've queued up this one. John Brown shared that in his small group. That opened up as a site that he goes to pretty often because it's pretty rich in terms of resources. He's a math instructor, so I'm going to just copy this. Come on. And we come back to Slack. And then I have opportunities of different sort of folders or conversations, as you will, like this organizational schema of where that might go. So since it is particular to this math curriculum, you might want to go ahead and add it to this Math Rocks. Or he might say it's a little bit broader than that, and other people who teach English language arts might be interested. And so he could start a new channel, or he could add it to general. You could start a channel that's something like curriculum ideas. But let's just keep here in the Math Rocks. So we come down to the bottom. He's basically going to paste it down there and then write a little bit of an annotation about why he thinks this is a worthwhile resource for people to explore, and then hit plus. Let's see another example. Sam suggested a book that he'd been reading, The Carpenter versus the Gardener. Although it's focused on parenting, he sees lots of parallels to what is going on in education. And so he'd copy that link, come back in, and then try to figure out what channel it makes the most sense to put that in. So if it turns out to be personalized learning, I might want to come on here, come on down in the bottom, paste that here, put the plus sign with a little bit of annotation on the plus sign, and then that sort of lives there for everybody to be able to share. You'll notice here when I've clicked on personalized learning or even proficiency-based learning, what Bill and I did a little bit back, that one doesn't want to load, was invite my PDC colleagues to, if they had any resources that they thought might be applicable to some of the work that they were doing, to go ahead and add there. So you'll see that Jeannie Phillips put a couple things in. Katie Farber has, Audrey's added, Leif Lagueros as well, Scott Thompson. So there are other resources here that might be of interest for you to explore. Remember when I first opened this up, I said that one of the added value pieces to this is that there can be a kind of threaded discussion conversation. So if I, for instance, came to Katie's and I saw this this deeper learning kind of graphic that really captured my interest, I can come up over into the upper right-hand corner and I can give her a big thumbs up about, wow, that's a really good resource. But I can also start a discussion thread so I can reply back to her and see if other people want to do that just by clicking on that. And you'll see down below, I've got a chance to reply, and I could ask a question. Great resource. What else do you have here connected to deeper learning? Or wait, I have this infographic that I want to show too. I could go ahead and add that. Hit that, button there, and then you'll see now underneath there's one reply to the resource that she shared, and then people can start to respond within that discussion thread. That's not something that we're expecting that you do now for this week. Really just the task of going in and sharing with a little bit of annotation the resources that you shared on Saturday to get this conversation in a broader way going is exactly what we would like you to do. If anybody has any questions about Slack and wants to reach out to me directly, please do so. And we hope that this becomes a space that that helps us to all learn from each other and move forward. Thanks.